How are we, lads? Here we go. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to my State of Origin teams for Game 2 of the State of Origin series, where it is not that far away now, State of Origin 2, and I believe the team lists get named. I think it's Sunday night. So I thought, you know what, it's Wednesday night. Origin team lists come out on Sunday night, so I thought I'd put together my 1 to 17 New South Wales and Queensland sides for Game 2 now. The New South Wales team won't be, there won't be many changes for the New South Wales team. But the Queensland side, I can see a lot of changes there because they obviously were embarrassed and destroyed. So let's get into it. But before I get into the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like this video and comment your thoughts in the comment section below. You know, even put your New South Wales and Queensland teams in the comment section below for Game 2. And also, if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. So let's get into it, man. So my New South Wales and Queensland State of Origin teams for Game 2 of the 2021 State of Origin series. We'll start with the New South Wales side and fullback and captain James Tedesco. On the wings, Brian To'o and Josh Addo-Carr. In the centres, Latrell Mitchell and Tom Trbojevic. In the halves, 5'8" Jerome Luai, halfback Nathan Cleary. The front row, Daniel Saifiti. I made a little change here. I put Payne Haas in the starting front row with Daniel Saifiti. The hooker, Damien Cook. The back row, another change. Angus Crichton goes into the starting side. Tarek Sims keeps his spot. At lock is Isaiah Yeo. And on the bench, Jack Whiten, Junior Paulo. Jake Trbojevic goes from the starting side to the bench. And the last player I got of Axley and Martin, and I put Cameron Murray on the bench. Now, my reasoning behind this, look, obviously the back line will stay the same. Obviously, Tedesco, world class. To'o and Addo-Carr, probably the two best wingers in the game at the moment. And Turbo and Latrell were just incredible in Game 1. And obviously all those players deserve to keep their spot. And I believe there's absolutely no reason for me and for New South Wales to change that. So I've kept the same back line. Halves, Luai and Cleary. Look, they played well together in Game 1. They both did a really good job. And, you know, you don't want to change too much when you win Game 1, especially 50 points to 6. So I think like the back line and the halves need to stay the same. But I would make a couple of tweak changes. Not too many changes. So obviously keeping Daniel Saifiti in the front row, who did a great job in Game 1. But I want to see Payne Haas start. I know Jake Trbojevic is a fantastic player and he does the job, but he didn't really offer a whole lot in the first stint he was out there for New South Wales. He didn't really offer a whole lot in attack, and I feel like Payne Haas is your perfect front rower to partner Daniel Saifiti. I think those two go together really well. Look, I know you don't want to change too much, but I feel like Saifiti and Haas are a really good front row pair together. And at hooker, look, I think Damien Cook probably just hangs on to his spot, but I'm telling you, Api Koroisau is really pushing for that hooker position. If New South Wales had lost Game 1, then maybe they would have pulled the trigger, but Damien Cook, you know, he had a pretty he had a pretty average game in Game 1. I gave Damien Cook a really low rating in Game 1, and I reckon he was probably the quietest player for New South Wales. So he does keep his spot because he's been there and done it before, but Api Koroisau was right on his tail. Now we'll go to the back row. Angus Crichton and Tarek Sims. Now, look, we'll start with Angus Crichton. Look, Cameron Murray's a great player, but I don't think he's an edge player. I thought he was a little bit underwhelming in Game 1. Didn't play as good as I thought he would have, but Angus Crichton's back. He had an okay game against the Titans last week, and he was probably New South Wales' best player in last year's series. So you got to throw Crichton in there, and in my opinion, he's the best back row in the game at the moment. So I'd throw Crichton straight in there, and I'll partner him with Tarek Sims, who did a pretty good job in Game 1. I know his form at the Dragons has been up and down, but Crichton and Sims in the back row would be great. At lock, Isaiah Yeo did a fantastic job in Game 1. He goes unnoticed, you know, everyone else, you know, the Clearys, Tedesco's, Turbo, Latrells, you know, they all get the praise for Game 1, but Isaiah Yeo was exceptional in Game 1, so he obviously keeps his spot. It's a no-brainer. Now the bench, Jack Whiten, he's the utility player for New South Wales. Didn't really do anything in game one, but I feel like, you know, you've got to keep most of the same team together. So I kept White on the bench, even though I would go with, I think there's better options, but I think White will stay there. And along with Junior Paulo on the bench, he was great off the bench in game one. So I'd keep that rotation. I'd bring Jake Trbojevic off the bench. I think he can provide a bit more impact off the bench than he would starting. So I think Jake Trbojevic and Junior Paulo would be a good rotation in the front row off the bench together. And Cameron Murray, he can come on the field, he can play lock, he can play back row, he can be a bit of a versatile forward. If Isaiah Yeo wants to go back to an edge, you can put Cam Murray in the middle. If Sims runs out of gas, you can switch them up. So Cam Murray on the bench, I think, is a better rotation for New South Wales. But that's my New South Wales Origin team for game 2, and wouldn't make a lot of changes, but that's what I would do for the New South Wales side. Now, let's get into my Queensland State of Origin team for game 2. Now, they were absolutely pumped in game 1. In Origin, it's a different level of football. You can't be getting beat 50 points to 6, especially in Queensland. So, game 2, it's at Suncorp Stadium. Queensland need to make changes, and I have named a very different team to game 1. So, this is what I would do for Queensland for game 2. Don't get angry at me if you don't like it. It's just my opinion, and I think if this was the Queensland side, it would make for a very competitive game, and it would be a closer game than what it would be, or than what it was in game 1. So here we go. Fullback, AJ Brimson. On the wings, Kyle Feldt and Valentine Holmes. In the centres, Dane Gagai and Will Chambers. 5'8", Cameron Munster. Halfback, Daly Cherry-Evans. The front row of Josh Papali and Tino Fasua Malawi. Hooker is Ben Hunt. Back row of David Fafita and Felice Kafusi. The lock is Jai Arrow. And on the bench, Harry Grant, Maui Fodawaker, Jaden Sewer, and Cohen Hess. And here comes the chat. The Queenslanders, they're probably commenting right now on this video. You idiot. You effing idiot. Calm down. If you're a Queenslander, relax. I have a few reasons for this team. Now, some of you will like it. Some of you won't like it. And I completely understand. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's understandable. Right. So we'll go to the fullback first. I've got Brimson at fullback. I think to fit AJ Brimson in this team, bring him off the bench is just a stupid idea. Play Brimson at fullback. The uncertainty on Kalen Ponga. He returns for Newcastle this weekend. Is one game of football against the Warriors really going to be enough match fitness for Kalen Ponga? It's game 2. You need to level the series, and with all due respect to Valentine Holmes, he did a pretty average job in game 1, and I think Brimson just deserves a crack. So I think Brimson at fullback would be the ideal thing. So Brimson at fullback. The wingers, Kyle Feldt and Val Holmes. Now Kyle Feldt's game in game 1 wasn't the best, but I think Kyle Feldt provides a bit more than Xavier Coates. Xavier Coates, for mine, has been in average form all year, and he's only a young kid, Xavier Coates, and Kyle Feldt provides a lot more with the ball, I reckon, in attack and defence, and I think Kyle Feldt can do stuff that Xavier Coates probably can't. So Kyle Feldt, I think he deserves another run, so I'd throw him on the wing, along with Valentine Holmes. I mean, you put him on the wing for Queensland, he's a completely different player, so Val Holmes for Queensland, I think he needs to be there. So put him on the wing with Feldt. In the centres, I'll start with Dane Gagai. He had probably the worst Origin game I've seen him play in a very long time. Gagai was really poor in game 1. Expect him to be better in game 2, so I've got him in the centres. The other centre, it's a bit of a smoky, Will Chambers. Now, I was debating whether between Will Chambers and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, but I don't think Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, the hammer, I don't think he's ready for State of Origin level just yet. You throw Will Chambers in there. He's got experience. He's won grand finals. He's done the job before in Origin. Throw him in there. Kurt Capewell, he was exposed in game 1. So, I don't care how old Chambers is. You throw him in there. He's experienced. He knows how to do the job. I'd throw him in the Queensland side personally. I think he'll do the job if he gets the opportunity. In the halves, Cameron Munster and Daly Cherry-Evans. Obviously, these two picked themselves. They didn't have the best game in game 1, but the whole team was shocking in game 1. So expect Munster and DCE to be a lot better in game 2. And I think these two will be a lot better in game 2 for Queensland, and I don't think they'll be that poor again in game 1 like they were in game 1. So expect those two to be a lot better for the Maroons. The front row, Josh Papali returns, so he's obviously a no-brainer. He picks himself, Josh Papali or Josh Papali'i, however you want to put it nowadays. But he obviously goes into the front row. He's a no-brainer. The other front rower is Tino Fasua Malawi. I still can't pronounce that last name, but Tino goes in there. Him and Papali up front. It's a great combination, and I think that's what Queensland should do in the front row. Hooker. This is where it gets a little bit controversial. I would start Ben Hunt at dummy half over Harry Grant. Ben Hunt's played hooker before at State of Origin level and absolutely killed it. He's done a great job at that position in the past. So I think Ben Hunt at dummy half for Queensland would be a better idea, and Harry Grant off the bench as that rotation could come on the field and just explode. So Harry Grant, Ben Hunt at number 9, I think it would be a good thing for Queensland. The back row, David Fifita and Felix Kaufusi. Now, both of these players were very quiet in game 1. Fifita was contained very well. Expect him to be a lot better in game 2. Felix Kaufusi, he's lucky to be playing. I think he's been a really disappointing player this year. He hasn't done a whole lot for mine, but I think he'll be in the back row with Fifita because, at Queensland I like that they stick loyal with their players a lot of the time. So I'd think Kaufusi and Fifita would be in the back row. At lock, Jai Arrow, he had a mixed game in game 1. Did a couple of good things and stupid things, but overall, an average performance from Jai Arrow. But you put him at lock, obviously he'll do the job for the Maroons. So obviously he's going to be number 13. And on the bench, like I just said, Harry Grant off the bench has that jersey 14. Come on for Ben Hunt in the middle and just bring his energy and his excitement. If you go back on the weekend, the Storm and the Warriors game, Harry Grant came off the bench and he set up a try straight away as soon as he came on the field. So his impact speaks itself. So put him on the bench if I was the Maroons. Along with Moe Fotuaika, he's a really good front rower. Moe Fotuaika, he came off the bench in game 1 for Queensland and did a really good job in a beaten side. So I think he'll keep his spot along with Jaden Sewer. I think Jaden Sewer's been quite good this year for Queens at club level, and I think Origin level he's not too bad as well. So I think Jaden Sewer deserves another crack. So I'd throw him in there, and the last player I'd throw in there is Coen Hess. Now he's been playing front row for the Cowboys for about 6 weeks now, and he's been doing a great job in the middle, Coen Hess, and there isn't really many forwards around at the moment for Queensland because they're all injured. So I think Coen Hess, he's been there and done it before, so I'd throw him in the side on the bench and bring him on in the middle with Fotuaika as that forward rotation. But that's my Queensland State of Origin team for Game 2. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it, and also let me know what you think about the New South Wales team that I selected. I think if they were the team list for Game 2 for State of Origin, I think it'd be a closer game than 50 points to 6. I'm hoping it's a closer game anyway. But they're my State of Origin teams for Game 2 for New South Wales and Queensland. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.